Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've gotten enough sleep in the last couple days to recover from the 4-hour marathon that was AEW Revolution.
Oh boy, I think I finally caught up after that. That was a lot to handle.
You know, it's funny. We talked about it. Actually, we talked about it over the last couple of weeks. How their pay-per-views tend to run long, and to go on a Sunday, to me, man, if you want to go long like that, I still say you got to give people the day to recover.
You do.
Like you got to go on the Saturday.
You really do, and I hope Tony eventually switches it because I think they did one or two Saturdays before. I think they need to go back to that.
In fact, I thought that they kind of set the table for WWE going Saturdays.
Yeah,
because they were having success.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they flipped to Sunday.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, you like what we're doing? Well, we're going to do something different now.
Right. Yeah, it's like, oh, let's just flip flop and boom. That's what they did with their pay-per-view night.
I'm personally very like if one of them was going to be Saturday and one Sunday, I would prefer WWE Saturday because I peacock like you do, and
exactly
I'm gonna watch every show. That way, at least I don't have to take Monday off from work in order to do that.
Exactly. That's the one positive thing. Yeah, with WWE makes
the only Monday I still have to take off WrestleMania Monday because
right
on Sunday as well. Yeah.
And then, I mean, WWE just announced two big shows, both on a Saturday in September.
Yes.
Yeah, because
King of the Ring in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
King and Queen. Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's two tournaments on one show. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I really hope so. And now, if that's what they're going to do, I hope it's not just like how like in the later years of the King of the Ring tournament, they did just the Final Four on the night of.
Yeah.
I hope we get the full 8-man tournament.
You're right. I hope it's the full 8 tournaments. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I loved those. Like those were probably the pay-per-view. Like there were some of the first ones that I ordered like on my own. Like because I used to go to a friend's house all the time.
Right.
And so the first one I ordered on my own was I think Starrcade 92.
Okay.
For whatever reason he was out of town or something, but and then the next one I want to say was Slamboree 93.
Oh, the Legends Reunion.
Yeah, the Legends Reunion, which was a great card. And when we do start doing our homework assignments again, I already have an assignment from that show that I'm on assigning.
Nice.
And then the very next one, which turned out to be one of my absolute favorites, was King of the Ring 93.
That was a fantastic one.
And that was the night that I was just like, Bret Hart is the greatest superstar in the history of the world.
Oh, yeah. That was phenomenal, especially his match against Mr. Perfect.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Like, and there were 3 very unique matches. But they all built on each other too. Like, Razor stomps on Bret Hart's hand. Very innocent move that doesn't say much. And I don't know if he really did injure his hand, which I would assume he did. But
probably
he had the fingers taped, and Mr. Perfect then exploits them at one point.
Right.
And I love the continuity in that match.
Yeah.
And then, Bret injures his knee when being thrown into the stuff around the ringside in that Mr. Perfect match.
Yep.
And then, limps out there for the match against Bam Bam. The continuity, everything was a story.
Yeah, it really was.
Each match was unique, but they all tied together to make a beautiful tournament.
It did. Yeah, and then then 94 with Owen.
Oh my God, that may have been even better, like because of the story there with Owen having to do what his brother did.
Yeah, that was great too.
I was such a big Owen Hart fan.
He was great.
Like I always had a thing about loving heels, like, and people thought it was nuts. Like people I knew, like
Right.
I always loved the bad guys, and I loved Owen Hart turning on his brother.
That
and the
was
whole build up. It was fantastic.
And then when Owen pinned him at WrestleMania 10,
yes,
that was just marvelous.
And then when Brett wins the title at the end of 10, like I was just like, SummerSlam, Brett Owen for the title. And then when they did it a steel cage match,
right.
And those guys just took the steel cage match to another level. Like
they did.
That was an all-time match.
And then of course it was that old blue.
Yes.
That blue cage back in the day was hilarious. Just so
yeah. Well, it wasn't intimidating. It was supposed to be cartoonish.
Right.
And then when they finally did go to like the steel cage that WCW had,
right.
And like it was always the better steel cage.
Yeah.
But there was just something nostalgic about when you look up and you see all the guys setting up the blue cage.
Yeah. There's something about it. But now with that's one thing I miss, where they just drop it from the rafters. Like I used to love the build up.
Right, because they basically had to do a whole video package and like a big setup to the cage match because you had a big break in the action there.
You did, yeah.
Okay, so it's easy for us to go off the rails here.
Very easy.
Yes. Let's talk about Revolution. I know you brought up the card on the computer so that you could run down match by match.
Yes.
So, I didn't watch. You did. Your thoughts?
Okay. I missed the pre-show match, but I was having issues with Comcast, but I got it through Fight, and that was good. The last couple minutes of it, I had to go back and watch it. Of course, Briscoe and the Lucha Dragons won over like they should.
Sure.
They opened up really, really good match. I think it's the end of the line in the story with Ricky Starks defeating Chris Jericho.
Oh, that's a strong opening match.
That was a very strong opening match. Very good match. One of the stronger matches of the night, I think. I'm hoping that now Ricky Starks is out of the feud with the JAS and Action Andretti and if those two are going to be a team, either set them up for a tag team run, or if they're going to be two singles, maybe give one of them a shot at the TNT Championship.
Okay, yeah, I'd be into that.
And maybe give Ricky a shot at the TNT Championship, and give Action a shot maybe at the All Atlantic Championship. Might be
interesting. I'd be in for that. Yeah.
Then they did the casket match. They called it a final burial match between Jungle Jack won over a defeated Christian. Really was kind of a build up to Jack Perry. Hopefully they're going to have something else going on for him now. And it really made him tap into his dark side a little bit more. That was the whole plot of the match, was could he defeat Christian in this kind of match, and can he tap into that dark side? And they had him tap into it. They had him hit Christian with a couple things. And then it was the weirdest casket match or final burial ever. They had the casket set up. Like Jack gave like Christian the "I love you," like whispered in his ear, shut the door, and then the casket just boom, like fell in a hole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a little bit weird, but hey, you know what? I guess it kind of worked. Hopefully, that's another one where they're gonna
change the direction. Yeah,
just change the direction of the two guys, because Jack Perry's been in limbo with Jungle Hook, and then Christian came back. They did this. Maybe let Jack change his direction a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be in this. I'd be all about seeing that. Yeah, he deserves a good, like you said. You just said with Ricky Starks, a good singles run. I wouldn't be upset with that. Like that's something he said himself that he wants to be a singles champion.
Right. And you know what? I think it's time. They have some younger guys. Let's do something different. You have two companies. Let's get some fresh faces in the title pictures. Speaking of fresh faces with titles, the House of Black defeated the Elite after that.
Yes, and I remember we were texting about that. I wonder if that's like maybe a swerve with the whole Kenny Omega contract situation.
I think it is because Omega, when I saw the graphic on Facebook the next day for All Out, he's highly featured on there.
Okay.
And I'm beginning to think I know what's going to happen next. I think Omega is going to challenge MJF at All Out because they want MJF to win another championship match. Excuse me, Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing's next.
Yeah, I know. I was getting confused as to which one is.
Then I think in All Out is when he drops the title to the soon to be number one babyface of AEW will be Adam Cole. With the way they're really hyping his return. They're doing that show on the 29th. The AEW All Access after AEW, that's when Adam Cole also comes back into the ring. So I think this way you can give that long build up from September to, late March to beginning of September for him to really build up and get the title back.
Yeah, agreed.
But again, very solid, entertaining 6-man match. The 6 of them had great chemistry. The match kept you entertained the whole time. And I think it's deserved that the House of Black get the titles and they try to focus somewhere else now.
Yeah, I think you could easily transition the Young Bucks back into challenging for the tag titles, or positioning them to challenge.
They're going to have to wait their turn.
Sure.
Right.
But like working their way up the ladder, maybe taking on I always want to call them Strike Force, but I know it's not. The Martins.
Oh, Top Flight.
Top Flight, that's it.
Yeah, maybe have a feud with them.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. They had a couple nice matches. I'd love to see them pick up that rivalry again.
I would love to see that. I think that would really add something to the depth of the tag team division, which we'll talk about the return at the end of the tag team title match.
Yeah. Let's not skip ahead. The next match on the card.
The women's title match. Jamie Hayter won. Bigger story out of the whole thing was at the end of the match. Toni Storm was out with Hayter and Toni Storm was out with Saraya. Britt Baker was out with Hayter. And Toni Storm and Saraya attacked Hayter and Britt Baker, had him. And then Ruby Soho comes in. And says, no, this is our house. This is our house. And Hayter's with Ruby and Britt. And then all of a sudden, the swerve happens. And Ruby attacks Hayter and Britt, lays them both out. And then Saraya and Tony hand her the spray paint, and she spray paints the L on them. And that's when I was telling my buddy Scott was watching the event with me. I said, I'm smelling a blood and guts here. We keep talking about it, but
yes,
I think this might be the blood and guts feud they want for that big match, because you've already got half of the girls in there. You just have to find the other 5 for the 2 teams. It really wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because think about it. For the Britt and Hayter team, you could get Sheeta in there. You could get Riho. If you want like a wild card, Nyla Rose, maybe. You you got enough homegrown girls, and then you can always find a couple other non-homegrown girls.
I would think one that would make sense would be Serena Deeb if they brought her back.
Yes. And you know who else? Thinking about it, really not that hard. Athena.
Oh yeah, there you go. That'd be a good one.
Because she's the ROH Women's
If they
Champion.
didn't want to go, if they didn't want to go with Serena Deeb, if they wanted Athena, the other one that would talk about turning the wrestling world on its ear, Mandy Rose.
Yeah, it would be. And, I mean, she easily could be there. So then after the women's title match, really good. I thought they did a great job. Came one of the most disgusting.
Hey, bud.
Hi.
One of the most disgusting wrestling matches I've seen in a long time.
What the Adam Page John Moxley?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Oh,
It was. I knew it was going to be bad. I told Denise to take Nikki upstairs, and it was called a Texas death match, and I use that in parentheses, in quotations, because it followed nothing of the form of a Texas death match. Literally, when Moxley walked out, they already had a bed of barbed wire, like leaning up against the ring. It was just.
well, he's got to get it out. He can't. Yeah.
It was just something that I sat there, told my friend Scott that it should have been on Game Changer Wrestling. It was just unnecessarily violent. It just it wasn't a Texas death match. It wasn't two guys actually wrestling until they couldn't respond to the count of 10. It was either submission or knockout. They were their rules. So it wasn't a traditional match, Texas death match, and it was just way too many weapons, too much barbed wire, blood all over the place. Like, for me, if you're gonna do that type of match, do it right. You're here to the 50-plus-year-old rules that they've always used them by.
Yeah.
If you want to have that match, just call it a death match, because that's what it was. It wasn't the traditional match that we saw when we were kids.
Yeah, that's really disappointing because I really thought that Adam Page and Moxley deserved a great send-off and a great match to their rivalry.
I mean, it was good, but it was all it was a gore fest.
See, and I don't like those gore just for the sake of gore. I don't like them in movies, and I don't like them in my wrestling. No. Yeah, I need story.
Right, and that's the thing. It was just like, you know what it reminded me of? A Nick Gage match.
That's disappointing.
That's what I thought of it. It was the John Moxley, Nick Gage fascination.
Well, when they do these kind of matches,
deathmatch wrestler,
and they just come out there and, like you said, right away, it's like right into the blood and guts. Like, to me, like, I don't feel anything for that. Like, why should I invest in those characters? Exactly. You haven't done anything to make me invest in them, in that match anyway.
No.
Like, go out there, tie it up, and, have a slug that work towards that. Make me believe as, like, the Moxley's down and he keeps getting back up. Let Hangman get desperate and then go over there and grab a barbed wire covered baseball bat. Right. And then you can have your gore fest once I get my story to it.
Right. Yeah. There was like no story. It was just like, here's the weapons. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
The next match, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even see it.
Okay.
It was Wardlow defeating Samoa Joe. Someone on my shoulder wanted Pop-Tarts. I was getting snacks. And so what was your thoughts of that match?
I don't know who Wardlow is. So.
The guy who wrestled Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I know.
So what did you think of that match?
I think it was they were both like the same, like good fighters,
Right.
not like the best out of the best.
Okay.
It was a good match, but I wanted Samoa Joe to win.
Okay. So there we go.
Okay. And Wardlow, yeah, obviously got the win, won the TNT title. It advances and it kind of completes that story.
Kind of. And now I'm kind of looking forward to tonight after the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So tonight it's going to be Wardlow and Hobbs, and I think let's have that feud for a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that having some kind of like maybe end with a double count out or something like that,
Yeah,
like where the two are fighting and let's build a story to this match.
Let's build a story to this match, to this feud. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Then came a train wreck in the form of the tag team title match.
That was one of those, I feel like we saw the train wreck coming.
Yes.
And it's just nothing we could do to avoid it.
Yeah. And it was the Guns defeated, they pinned Danhausen. So that's why Orange Cassidy and Danhausen were in that match, for Danhausen to take the fall.
He had to eat the pin. Yeah.
Eat the pin. I mean, it was a 4-way match, had some good spots, had some good things. Then the crowd just goes ballistic when the Guns retain the titles. They are booing. They are just not into it. Renee gets into the ring and starts talking to the Guns. The Guns are saying they're the best team in the world, doing the whole shenanigans. And then all of a sudden, the music hits and the FTR graphic pops up.
That's fantastic.
They delay them coming out. They just had the music playing. Shivani and Excalibur are saying, are the Guns playing mind games with us? Because they've done this.
Mm-hmm.
They delayed it like a minute. Then FTR walks out and the crowd goes nuts.
Nice.
And then FTR lays waste to the Guns, looks at the titles. So that's where we're going with that now.
Nice. And that's where we needed to go. I'm so glad FTR is back to finish their unresolved issues.
Yes. And then we got to the main event. And
I just want to say I didn't like it. I wanted Daniel Bryan to win.
You didn't like I knew you didn't like the main event.
Wait, it's Bryan Danielson.
Right. So MJF, as we talked about last week, we thought it was going to be a low scoring event, and it was 2-2. First Daniel Bryan went up 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
MJF low blows him, goes down 2-0, but he low blowed him and DDT'd him and got 1-2 pinfalls back to back within 30 seconds.
Oh, I was hoping that's what he was going to do, because I remember when Brock Lesnar did that to Kurt Angle.
Yes,
in the Iron Man match. That's what I was thinking of when they announced the match. I thought, oh, that would be a great way for MJF to go up on him.
So he ties it up there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I believe Daniel Bryan took the lead again, and then MJF tied it up. So we're 3-3. It's the end of 60 minutes. The bell rings. Justin Roberts gets on and says the match is 3-3. It is a draw. Therefore, still the All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, MJF. Meanwhile, Tony Schiavone's going, I'm getting word, and then you just hear yes, yes, yes. And then Tony Schiavone goes, I'll be glad to walk down to the ring. So he starts walking down. The fans are booing because they're thinking it's a tie, and Tony starts waving. Tony tells Justin Roberts, per Tony Khan, this match must continue into sudden death. There needs to be a winner. We cannot have a draw.
Nice.
In the meantime, they're giving MJF oxygen. He's collapsed in the ring. They're giving him oxygen. He kept on taking. He must have had a case of water. That was another great moment. He kept on taking water breaks, spilled water on a kid in the audience at one point. Just traditional great MJF, good old fashioned
great heel. Yeah.
Good old fashioned get under your skin, awesome heel work that he did.
Not afraid to compete. Gotta love it.
He goes outside. He's sitting there. The referee doesn't say it. He takes the oxygen tank and hits Bryan Danielson in the head. Instead of going for the pin, puts him in the label lock.
Oh.
Bryan Danielson refuses to tap out at the beginning of it. Tries to escape, couldn't, and finally couldn't take it anymore, and he taps out to the label lock.
Oh, wow.
The place was just like, that's how they end it. It was a great ending, I thought.
That is a fantastic ending.
Because it really puts the whole perspective now. And like my friend Scott was saying, is Punk coming out? I said, I doubt it. And he didn't come out. They just put the credits up and that was it. So they left it that way.
Wow.
So really, they ended it really nicely, I thought, to give MJF the proper heat. So now it's like, all right, I defeated Bryan Danielson. Who's next?
Right.
So that's why I'm thinking maybe it's going to be Kenny at I'm thinking it might be Kenny Omega Double or Nothing, because he's prominently featured.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to sign with WWE. I doubt it as much as I would like him to.
I would love him to sign in WWE. I just think about the great matches that we could have. And like that, I know Vince isn't really running day to day anymore, but Triple H anyway will make him a star.
Yes.
He will make him a generational talent.
Right.
And as opposed to just the greatest AAA superstar of all time, he could be a major leaguer, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right.
With Triple H and WWE.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But if he stays, I think he goes to Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I think All Out is finally a long enough build up for Adam Cole to take the title.
I agree. I think that would be my timeline as well. Like if I were in charge of AEW.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. I can't really think of anybody else right now that I would position to challenge MJF.
Yeah, I really don't know.
Has wrestled CM Punk?
Yeah, but remember, CM Punk's not there anymore.
Yeah, CM Punk's not really there anymore.
Right.
Wait, why? What happened?
He had an argument with some of the guys, and he hasn't been back.
And you never told me this.
This was in September. You forgot about it.
Yeah, you probably forgot about it, bud.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to Impact then?
No.
No, CM Punk is either going to come back to AEW, go back to WWE, or just never be seen again.
There are the three options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think I'd be okay with any one of the three.
Me too.
Including never seeing him again.
Yeah. He just
you know what? You came back, you scratched that itch for me. Like, yeah. I would have been disappointed had he never come back.
Right.
But
he had a good year there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was long enough to remind me why a lot of people were not sad to see him go, at least on the inside of WWE.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's funny. Like I love to see the things like Seth Rollins coming out and saying calling him a cancer and saying, stay out of our locker room. And
yeah.
And boy, what a different tone than when he showed up on backstage and Seth Rollins comes out and is tweeting out, "Fight me."
Exactly. Yeah.
Which again, I don't even necessarily blame him because look, he's a wrestler. He's trying to shoot his angle. He's trying to, you know, get the work in.
Yeah, I mean, Seth is doing fantastic work.
Oh my God, his story, what he did on Monday night with Logan Paul, that was fantastic.
I mean, there's been 3 jam-packed nights of wrestling.
Yeah.
Between Sunday and then Monday, Tuesday with.
Yeah, Tuesday. I'll go right. We'll start at the end and we can work our way backwards.
Okay.
The Roxanne Perez match with Minko Satomura. Absolute banger. It was incredible. What do you think of the ending? Obviously, that has to be a work, or they wouldn't have shown it that way.
Obviously, it's a work.
And I think they intentionally did that because at first I was kind of confused, thinking, wow, is she legitimately passed out? But then I did, the way they stuck with it. Had they cut away from it right away, I would have been more confused. I think they wanted the hardcore fan to understand this is a work.
Right.
They wanted to get the casual fan to believe it.
Right. And I think they did.
Yeah.
Even before our show here, when I was logging onto the laptop, MSNBC even had a little blog because that's the opening page for Microsoft Edge.
Mm-hmm.
It had a little blog, Roxanne Perez collapses after match in the sports section. So, I mean, that for even MSNBC to put it on was.
I mean, see, that makes me question it now if it was a work.
Yeah.
But again, I just can't believe that WWE, knowing the sensitivity of that, especially after, the football player when he had when he collapsed.
Right. Yeah.
Damar Hamlin. And, coming off of that, you saw how they showed it the one time and then stopped showing it right away.
Yep.
And to me, that's the precedent. That's what you do if that's a real life situation. This screams work, and that's okay. I'm okay with that being a work. I'm curious as to where they're going with it.
Yeah, that's where I am interested in. And see, I don't know if these are I don't know. Some of these news sites are saying she collapsed, stretchered out. Yes, but is it really true blue?
A few weeks ago, we had the split up of Toxic Attraction.
Yes.
In a very a la Shawn Michaels and the Rockers.
Correct.
Is Roxanne Perez having her tell me a lie moment?
She might be. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shawn was very committed to that angle when he did. He actually legitimately got checked into the hospital.
Yeah.
The night that he collapsed on Raw.
Yep. Yeah, so it might be that. It very well could be.
That was the first thing that popped into my head was if I see a goddamn music video with that cheesy ass music,
right?
I'm gonna know obviously it's a work. I'll be fine with it, but I'll know it was a work.
Exactly. Yeah, and see that's the thing. NXT's telling some really great stories right now.
Yeah. They really are.
That collapse at the end. I mean, that match was incredible.
Sure.
And I'm wondering if that's going to be your NXT Women's Title match at Stand and Deliver.
Satomura again against Roxanne.
The way Mako was looking,
I'd be fine with it. Yeah.
At the end of that match, I'd want another one of them.
Yes, you can sign me up for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be Stand and Deliver.
And the obvious main event, I mean, it was the worst kept secret in all of wrestling.
And there's badly kept secrets in wrestling. Carmelo.
Yeah, there's really bad kept secrets.
Yeah. That was just okay, the cat's out of the bag. We know it's going to happen. So
I'd like that they didn't drag it out and then come out next week and talk about it. Just this is going to happen. This is the match. Just come out and say it.
This is what we all want to see.
Yeah.
Give us what we want.
Give the 2 lead dogs the ring and just let them tear the house down.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, they are going to set quite the stage for WrestleMania weekend.
They are.
The first of 3 main events of the weekend. And
it's going to be
batten down the hatches.
It's going to be a weekend. I mean, the fact that we're going to get Carmelo against Braun and Gargano against Waller.
I'm really excited about that match, Gargano and Waller. You know, when they were teasing the idea of Shawn Michaels and Grayson Waller, I got to be honest, I wasn't excited about it.
No.
All I have in my head is the visions of Shawn's last match, that tag team debacle with him and Triple H against the Brothers of Destruction. And it was just an absolute turd.
That is,
with all due respect to turds everywhere.
Yeah.
In fact, I feel like I should apologize to turds everywhere for comparing that match to a turd.
Yeah, that match was just awful. Awful.
It was so bad. And all I could think was, man, Grayson Waller is good. But is he up for carrying Shawn Michaels in this match?
Right.
And I never, ever thought in a million years I would ever say that about Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. But I think that's a good swerve. And I think Gargano on NXT is always something special.
Yeah, and you know what? I like the idea of this being a one-off, him being back in NXT. I don't want him to be back there permanently or in any for any extended period of time. This doesn't have to be like Finn Balor.
No, it doesn't. It's just give us the match.
Yep.
And then it'll be interesting to see if Gargano wrestles on WrestleMania Sunday, or if this is his WrestleMania.
Right. I'll tell you, before that, when he started saying he was going to bring somebody back, in my mind, I thought maybe Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes.
Because he hadn't done it, he hasn't been on Raw in a while.
No.
And I know he was injured. I don't know the severity. I don't know how long he's out for.
Right.
I would assume that that's the only reason he hasn't been used is because of an injury.
Absolutely, because he is a Triple H boy.
Yeah.
Triple H is high on him. He's going to use him when he's cleared. And I think he's going to get out of that Miz storyline he was in.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if there's a guy who screams breakout in the King of the Ring tournament, if he's healthy for it, it's got to be Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing it. And if he's healthy for it,
yeah,
a Ciampa Gargano final in the King of the Ring. Let us have DIY go at it.
Yeah, the DIY implosion takes center stage in Saudi Arabia.
I think that would be a banger of a final.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. And I mean, you could even tease the idea of, if Candice LeRae made the finals of the Queen of the Ring, you could have the Garganos as the King and Queen of Wrestling.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if this is a ploy by WWE to announce the King and Queen of Wrestling, because last year at All Out, at Double or Nothing, they did the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament at AEW.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're kind of like, wait a minute, you guys want to do that? Well, we're going to announce this the day before your show.
That actually is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact they're making it the King and Queen of the Ring. So,
yeah, I love that idea. I'll tell you what, I would love to see, like, in a special, like Bret Hart there to crown the winner.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either. I mean, I don't think Queen Selena is going to retain her crown this year.
No, I wouldn't imagine so.
No, but stranger things have happened. So,
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, Carmella and Chelsea Green are being pushed in women's matches, like they're being jammed down our throats.
I don't get it. I mean, and then to me, another disappointment was the women's tag champs are booked into a 6-man match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it coming, but it's like not unless
You
Lita
got the
and Becky
belts
are doing
off.
double duty.
You could have gotten the belts off of Damage Control without putting them on Becky and Lita.
Right.
You could have them basically interfere and cost them a tag match, somewhere along the line between now and WrestleMania,
Right.
and then have that 6-man match or 6-woman match at WrestleMania, and you could have still then had your obligatory Fatal 4-Way Women's Championship match.
Right. Which I don't know if Lita and Becky are going to defend the titles before WrestleMania.
If they do, I would almost be willing to bet on that they would lose those belts, and then
we have the spiraling of because as of last week it was reported on Dave Meltzer was reporting that they're penciling in Ronda and Shayna to win the women's tag titles at WrestleMania.
Right, which to me said, okay, so I guess that's the they're going to have Becky maybe even just as a straight up tag match.
I would have been all for that.
Yeah, I'd have been all for that too.
Lita and Becky against Shayna and Ronda, sign me up. But
yeah,
but we get this.
I mean, the only thing, if they have because technically the women's tag titles are supposed to be able to go to Raw or SmackDown,
right?
I mean, maybe Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox win the tag titles on SmackDown either next week or something, and then we have the match with Ronda and Ronda and Shayna.
Right. It's so confusing.
To me, I don't get what they're trying to do with those tag titles. If they were gonna put those tag titles on Lita, why not Lita and Trish?
That's what I was thinking. If you're gonna put Lita, have Lita and Trish hold them.
Yeah, to me that makes way more sense than Lita and Becky.
Right, but I don't know.
Yeah,
that's why we're the speculating fans.
And look, I love being a speculating fan. It's a lot of fun.
It's a great time.
I guess what we should talk about next is it's got to be the Sami Zayn and Jey Uso.
Oh,
that was, to me, it was obvious when I saw him come out.
Right.
And hug his brother. I knew it's okay, well, clearly you're going to swerve us.
It was funny. I'm sitting there watching it with my wife.
And not me.
Because you were sleeping because you stayed up till midnight the night before watching MJF on the side point. So we're sitting there watching it, and Jey Uso comes out and looks at Jimmy and then walks away and then goes and hugs Sammy and is out in the aisleway with him. And she goes, he's going to go with Sammy. I said, he's going to go against him.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, what? What? I said, just watch. It's going to happen. And then he hits Sammy and boom. She goes, well, why did they do that way? I said, to build up the drama for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they always split people up. You think he's going to go one way, boom. And then when Solo came out and then Cody runs out to make the save.
I really thought that should have been Kevin Owens making the save.
I thought so too.
It could have been both of them.
It could have been both of them.
Sure. That would have made sense too.
Right. It would have made sense if maybe one of the Usos went to hit Cody and then KO's music came out and then everyone went nuts.
Yeah.
but we need to get that reunification. I'm thinking they're waiting for SmackDown for it.
Yeah.
Because SmackDown is their bigger show at this point.
Yeah, especially just for the Bloodline, it's bigger.
Right. For the Bloodline, it's bigger. It's on Fox. It gets the bigger ratings. More people are going to see it live.
I mean, I suppose you could do maybe Kevin Owens and Jimmy Uso, or Kevin Owens, Jey Uso.
Right.
In the main event of SmackDown. You could do it like Roman kicks off SmackDown talking about, the coming match with Cody, but then welcomes Jey Uso back into the family. Oh, welcome back, main event Jey Uso.
Right, and they all throw
in the main event. You're gonna face Kevin Owens.
Right. Yeah. And I think what we really need is, I think Adam Pearce has to come out and announce it immediately on the spot.
What?
Yeah, the KO.
The KO, have Kevin Owens come out, help Sammy, and then just have Pearce walk right out, especially with this history of KO and Sammy in the Indies. Yeah. Say, hey guys, it's now your time to go after the Usos at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that would be absolutely perfect. I think that match has to happen. It has to be the Usos versus Sammy and Kevin for the tag titles. It's clearly going to happen. It's just kind of getting us curious as to how they're going to get there.
Right. And I think...
And what's that tipping point? Where is it that Kevin finally gives in and joins Sammy in this quest?
Right. Yeah. Where's that tipping point that we get them reunited?
I do think you're right. I think it could happen this Friday on SmackDown.
Yeah, because it's got to be soon.
Right, because we're starting to run out of days.
We really are. It's coming up quicker than what we're anticipating.
Yeah, I'll tell you, because I don't want it to be like the John Cena Undertaker match where we have the build up for a month, and the entire time I'm thinking, okay, this is when he's gonna do something. This is when we're gonna have John Cena and the Undertaker made official. Right. And when nothing happened, and then when it finally became clear that they were just gonna go to the show and announce it at WrestleMania like it was gonna happen, I'm like, this is freaking stupid.
Yeah, and I really don't think they're gonna do this with this tag match.
No.
Because I think this tag match is going to main event night one.
I think so too.
I think how hot the angle is. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have a tag team match main event WrestleMania.
That would be fantastic. I would love to see night one main event Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus the Usos.
I think we're going to get it that way. Because neither one of the women's matches is going to be.
No, they're not big enough.
I think the Intercontinental could be, but they really haven't.
They kind of screwed the pooch on that.
Yeah, because now they're doing the Fatal 5-Way qualifying. What's that? And they announced that the house show at MSG is going to have. Whoever wins the Battle Royal is going to challenge Gunther. So is one going to win on Friday night and then one going to win on Saturday, and then we have a triple threat? They haven't announced anything to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that does kind of seem nuts that's what they're doing with it.
Yeah, and then another thing that I thought was really goofy and nuts. Today I got an email from WWE or a text message about tickets on sale for different events. They have a promo for some tickets, and one of them was the night before WrestleMania, March 31st, SmackDown in LA.
That's Nikki's birthday.
That is your sister's birthday. It says SmackDown and 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
They haven't announced anybody for the Hall of Fame. We've got 2 weeks to go. Or what, 3 weeks?
4, yeah, closer to 3 at this point. You haven't announced anybody. What are you doing?
Yeah, you haven't announced anyone. Like, if you're doing a Hall of Fame, you better get after it, like, now.
Right. Like, I have a hunch it's Batista.
Okay.
So if it's Batista, like, let's announce it. Let's get a couple names in. Because, like, we've seen the graphics all pop up of just random people, it seems like.
Yeah, and it's people speculating,
Right.
But
and the thing is, with the speculation, one of the well-known speculating characters was one of the greatest tag teams ever in the Midnight Express.
yes.
And Jim Cornette has gone on record and saying he has not been contacted yet. And the fact that he hasn't been contacted yet, when he said when he was asked to induct the Rock and Roll Express, they did that Christmas week beforehand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would think that's one of those things you'd want to get. Like, because when you do the Hall of Fame, that is very touchy. You got to work out all that stuff. Like, this isn't just like working with one of your talents that you have on contract.
Right. This is getting the people there.
Yeah, you got to get everybody to LA. And you're talking about some people could be, halfway across the world.
Yeah. They haven't done it yet.
That it just does seem really odd to me how this is working out. Like, it's like if they're doing a Hall of Fame, it's like they're sitting around being like, like it was Triple H's that kid like the night before projects due. Oh shit, that's due tomorrow. Like, what?
Let's do it. Yeah, that's how I feel. They're with this Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'd almost prefer them not to do it and then to just say, we're going to make that a separate thing. Yeah. That maybe we do, instead of making it a part of WrestleMania weekend, it'll be its own weekend. Like, I don't know if they can figure out when, like, the first show was at Madison Square Garden. Like, the first WWE show was. But if you figure that out and figure out, like, oh, on the weekend we celebrate X number of years since our first show at the Garden, we're having the WWE Hall of Fame as a premium live event strictly on Peacock.
Right. That would make sense.
Or the announcement of the physical Hall of Fame in Orlando.
Right. Or the one thing I was thinking about, we're starting to bring it back this year. The Hall of Fame inductions used to happen the night before the King of the Ring.
Yes, they did.
So maybe next year, if we bring the King of the Ring back to the States, have a King of the Ring weekend, but then that would take away from WrestleMania 40 having the Hall of Fame. But
I don't like anything touching my WrestleMania 40. That is our event. Everything needs to happen that weekend.
Yes. So, but I'm okay with the Hall of Fame movie.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it. It always felt like it was very, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it was one of those things where it's like, am I really going to get juiced about this when I have so much else to get juiced about for this weekend?
Right. And see, I think when they made WrestleMania 2 nights, moved the Hall of Fame directly after SmackDown, I think that
you really killed it then. I think
that killed a lot of it because it used to be, I thought it was special.
Yes.
The Saturday night beforehand. And like I would get excited. I'd watch it on the network when they had it on the network. And now it's just like, now it's just coming on after SmackDown. Now we can watch the Hall of Fame or Rampage. Which one?
Yeah. And as much as I love nostalgia, if you give me, hey, do you want to watch some old timers talk about the good old days, or do you want to watch actual wrestling? I'm going to probably choose actual wrestling.
And to me, it's just like,
why not? Now DVR, other and watch it later. But
why don't they just do it so it's its own entity?
yes. Like, I love the idea of, well, I mean, and I get why they wanted to piggyback off WrestleMania because it's such a big weekend, and it was another cash cow.
Yep.
You get the whole group of people that are traveling in for WrestleMania. You say to them, hey, travel in the night before, come to our Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I get it. Like, it makes sense. But now you have 2 shows. You have essentially 4 shows that weekend because you have Friday Night SmackDown. You have WrestleMania. Well, I guess 5, really. You stand and deliver. And WrestleMania Night 1 and WrestleMania Night 2, Monday Night Raw.
I have an idea.
You don't need more that weekend.
I have an idea for him.
Yeah.
SummerSlam Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Just make SummerSlam weekend 4 days, like you've been doing with everything else.
Yeah.
Do SmackDown Friday, SummerSlam Saturday, Hall of Fame Sunday, Raw Monday.
Raw Monday, yeah.
And then this way, the Hall of Fame, it's still its special thing.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with attaching Hall of Fame to another pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think it's just.
Now, I think Hall of Fame, like on the back end of like Backlash or something like that, would be kind of stupid. But
I think it's got to be one of the other 3 majors.
yeah, it's got to be either SummerSlam, Rumble or Survivor Series. Yeah, or maybe King of the. I could deal with King of the Ring too because that's the way it used to be.
Right, or if they bring it back religiously every year, King of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Or Slamboree. Bring that back.
I would absolutely love that idea. Slamboree. WWE presents Slamboree. And can we please, finally, after all these years, finally, WWE Starrcade from Greensboro, North Carolina. And
that ain't gonna.
I know they're not going to do the event in Greensboro, but
no, Atlanta. They could do it in Atlanta.
Okay, I'd be fine. Put it in. What is that? Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta.
Yeah, because
put it in that one, like blow the roof off that place, and it could be kind of a test run to have a WrestleMania there again.
It could be, yeah. Yeah, because think about it. The first 2 Starrcades were
In
Greensboro, and then the next 2 were Greensboro and Atlanta simulcast, 85, 86. So they're not going to go to the Greensboro Coliseum, unfortunately. History is rich as history. I don't think they're going to do that. So,
no.
Yeah. I
was listening to the Bruce Pritchard, Something to Wrestle With.
Yep.
Their best of Stephanie McMahon, and one of the advertisements they had on there was another podcast with Crockett, and they were talking about the original Starrcade and why they did it at Greensboro instead of Charlotte.
Right.
And how they just had more of a they could get more people into Greensboro than into Charlotte. And
yes, and that's the thing. Greensboro sold out for them in, what was it, June of '83, with that huge Kernoodle and Slaughter in the cage against Steamboat and Youngblood. That amazing angle they did.
Yeah, and I mean they end up with Flair and Race for the title. I mean,
and let's face it, the Kernoodle Slaughter championship win in Japan was such a lie. It was hilarious.
Oh God, that was terrible.
They defeated the team of Inoki and Baba. Like, really? They're 2 different companies.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like. So I would love to see that. I would love to see, Slamboree, WWE Hall of Fame weekend. It'd be fantastic.
It would be.
And then, of course, I want my Starcade. And once again, make it to the hour point. I knew we would tonight with so much to cover.
We didn't even talk about Cena and Theory.
No. What did you think of that? Did you think Cena kind of buried him a little on the mic?
I think he buried him a little on the mic.
Yeah,
he came back Monday night. He kind of buried Theory, I thought, but I think it was kind of the way to try to make this match, how do I say, like more realistic, that Theory might have a chance to win. Even though we know John will do business right and give Theory his big stepping stool, but
yeah. What it did for me it kind of made me believe, well, no, maybe John is gonna bury him at WrestleMania. It made me think it, at least for a second. Now then, of course, when they walk back behind the curtain, I immediately go back to that's just John Cena hyping a match.
Yep.
And like he's gonna do the right thing for the business, and that is the right thing. It's as obvious as night and day. He has to put over Austin Theory, and he has to let Austin Theory look strong.
And I think he will.
And he will, absolutely.
He will.
John's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. He knows what's best for this company.
And I think that's going to be a heck of a match.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we're going to see maybe Theory's best match in WWE.
I agree. I think that John's going to let Theory run a little bit, do it. Like if there's, like, say, a particular move that Theory's been working on that they've been telling him not to try or something, I think John's going to let him try it. Like, if there's some, like, I don't know, like big poison Rana or something, like, I'm just spitballing here, but, like, you know, if there's some move that, like, Austin Theory can do, but, like, the guys have been telling him not to do, I think John Cena tells him to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think John will protect him too. Like I could easily see like a conversation between the two where John says, "Hey, you know that crazy move you want to do off the top rope that you've been fighting for? You do it against me.
Right.
I'll make it look good."
Yeah.
And he's just like, and if Theory goes, "Well, you know, they've been telling me not to do it. Don't worry, I'll make it right."
Right, yeah.
I could see John saying that to him. Like, don't worry, kid, I got you.
Because he's got enough pull to say, hey, no, let the kid do it.
Yeah. And I'll be really happy if I see that in the match, that there's some big move or something that he lets Austin Theory hit.
Yeah.
Like I'll be that'll make me very happy for John and for Austin Theory. He seems like, you know, a lot of times those like monster heels, the ones that come across like real jerks, are really like some of the nicest people you'd ever meet.
Yeah.
Like Edge is that way. He's like, listening to some of his, like, you know, away from wrestling interviews and stuff, he comes across as very genuine and very likable person. And anybody who I've ever heard from the business talk about him has talked about how great a guy he is. And they've said that I mean, maybe not Matt Hardy, but
besides Matt Hardy,
aside from, well, actually, they've even made up, like, and that's really crazy to me.
Yeah,
like Matt even talks glowingly of him now.
Yeah, that's nuts after what happened with them.
I mean, I guess, you know, enough time goes by and you're an adult and, you know, you move on to a new relationship. You know, he's got, you know, a bunch of kids now.
Yeah.
I assume Matt's over it.
Yeah, I would say so. He's married, has...
Yeah.
Is it three?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
And I know Wolfgang is one of the names.
That's awesome.
Matt Hardy named his son Wolfgang.
Poor Rebby must have been, she must have been like, you know, unconscious when he made.
I mean, I could just imagine, like, if I tried to name Sean Wolfgang in front of Denise, like, That would just be awful.
Yeah, I mean, if Jody and I were to have a kid, and I tried to, hey, hon, we're gonna name him Wolfgang,
Yeah.
or like, did you ever watch the show The League? Where,
No.
oh my God, so it's hilarious. It's all about fantasy football. These guys are like, and one of the, well, two of the teams are a married couple, and they have a baby during the
Season.
and the guy wants to get the number one pick.
Right.
In the fantasy football draft. And so as part of the trade, he trades the one guy naming rights to the baby.
Oh, wow.
And so the baby's named Chalupa Batman. And they always called him Chris Ben or whatever was what the wife said his name was. Right. And so they all just said, CB, how's CB doing? And the guy's over Chalupa Batman. How's Chalupa Batman? It's like, no, it's Chris Ben.
Wow. That's great.
That's the scenario I envision why Matt Hardy was able to name his child Wolfgang.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you pull the name Wolfgang out as a child's name, that's creative.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine taking attendance. So, Wolfgang Hardy?
Wolfgang Hardy. Yeah, that's a name.
And he's got to be the most quiet and polite and timid kid when you have that name.
Oh, definitely.
Because it would be the complete antithesis of what you'd expect.
Yes. Let me see here. No, I'm just trying to see if they actually have a site where his kids' names are, because I know Wolfgang's one of them, but let's see here.
That's freaking hilarious. Is it his oldest kid?
It might be because he was on TNA.
Yeah.
With them. Yeah. So it might be Wolfgang. So. Yeah.
And I loved the whole I loved everything that they did when he was in TNA. He was fantastic there.
Oh, that was amazing. The delete, that was one of my, I remember running around the house going delete sometimes.
Oh yeah. Right. Oh yeah, I still do that sometimes. My wife loves it.
Oh wait, he's got even better names.
Oh Jesus.
Bartholomew.
Yes, I remember Bartholomew. Yeah.
It's Maxwell, Bartholomew, Wolfgang, and Evermore are his children's names. Evermore Hardy.
That's hilarious.
So it's just not Wolfgang. He pulled out some good ones. So obviously Rebby's into the naming thing too. We can't just say she wasn't unconscious.
Yeah. Maybe I was too polite and
we were
calling her a name.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing that we can pull that information up and hear those names.
That's freaking awesome. That's commitment to a character, and
that really is.
Okay, I can't really think of a better way to end the show.
No, I think we topped ourselves going off the rails. And
yeah, that was pretty darn funny. Going with the Hardy names at the end.
The end, yes.
So we'll be back next week. We'll talk more the build up to WrestleMania. As I predicted, I think last week when I talked about my road to WrestleMania, this is when it gets hard for me. Is because now, I had the NFL Combine this past weekend, which, to give you an idea, I don't know if you watch any of that. That is on Saturday alone, 7 hours of coverage.
I can't do that. I couldn't do that.
And I'm a total football nerd. I soak that stuff up. This year has been harder for me than most years because, again, I'm trying to do the road to WrestleMania. I want to commit to this. I want to, like, there's so much, like, to divide my interest.
Yes.
But I also know that, like, in about a week and a half, I will be knee deep in, like, my 400th NFL mock draft. And I'll have picks 1 through 31 completely down 100 times over.
Oh boy.
Yeah, like I will just, and I'll have my wild scenarios of teams making trades, and it's borderline ridiculous. In fact, I may have abandoned borderline a long time ago.
You might have.
Like I might have a problem.
At least you admit it.
Yeah. I mean, they say that's the first step, but if you never go beyond the first step, I mean, you know.
Right.
But I will, like, so I haven't watched any WrestleManias since last week. I'm still on 25.
Okay.
This is, like I said, and then next week I'll have March Madness.
Oh, yeah, we got that coming up.
And so, but that means next Wednesday I will be fully committed to doing this show for as long as we want. We could be on that. We could do a 7-hour show if we wanted next Wednesday.
Oh no, we can't. That would be too much.
Somehow I don't think your wife's going to let you on next week. Awesome. All right, but yeah, so because I'm off work Thursday and Friday next week, I took a 4-day weekend to watch college basketball.
Watch basketball, yep.
Yeah. And my wife always says to me, she's like, "But Eric, you haven't watched any college basketball yet this year." I'm like, "It's not March Madness yet."
No, exactly.
March Madness, I don't watch college basketball.
That sounds like my dad. My dad is literally I don't think he's ever like sat and watched an NBA game.
Yeah.
Once or twice here or there, like if the Sixers are deep, but we were never a basketball family. But as soon as March hits, he's glued to the TV.
He's a hoop head, yeah.
And he's hook, line, and sinker every March.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, like I could still tell you exactly where I watched Syracuse versus Iona in the first round of 1997, I want to say, or 8. Now, it had to have been 98 because that was like the first year I ran a tournament pool. And half of us were in the TV studio. We have the game on, and of course, everybody in the whole class took Syracuse. And when Syracuse wins on the last second 3-pointer, everybody goes crazy.
Oh my God.
And of course, somebody had to mention, like, if everybody had Syracuse winning, then nobody would really be hurt by them losing.
Exactly. Well,
oh shit, he's right.
That is one school that hurt me so much when I was younger because I always liked Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
And they were such choke artists.
Oh, yeah.
When they lost to Richmond in the 15 seed in the late 80s, early 90s, I had him winning my pool in my dad's office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was heartbreak.
Well, oh God, why am I? Old Dominion is one that screams at me. When I had Villanova in 95, I want to say it was, when Villanova lost to Old Dominion in triple overtime.
Yes.
And that was on the Thursday night of the tournament. And so I stay up late watching that game to watch Villanova lose. And the next day, the old man made me get up to go to school. And I was dragging.
Yep. Oh, the joys of basketball.
Yeah, so maybe we should get into, like, I've always said WWE should do their King of the Ring tournament like NCAA's March Madness tournament. And I mean, you could do the whole thing. You could have a bracketology episode hosted by Corey Graves and Booker T and have the whole selection committee and have 64-man WWE King of the Ring tournament. The winner to headline SummerSlam against the WWE champion. if you want, you could have the champion in the tournament and have it like the old G1 rules. If the champion wins, he gets to choose his opponent.
Right, that would work. Just like Cena choosing Daniel
Bryan. Yeah.
Why do you keep doing this?
And didn't Alberto Del Rio try to choose like Ricardo Rodriguez or something?
One time he did, yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I always thought that whenever they'd be like, oh, you can choose your challenger, why the hell wouldn't they just choose the biggest putts that they know they could beat?
I would say give me Barry Horowitz.
Right?
Both.
The Brooklyn Brawler. That'd be another good one.
Now, did you see if Substance hit me?
No, I did not see any. No,
my wife threw a piece of bread at me. So she was throwing bread, and it just hit me as it came flying down.
Was it at the idea of doing a 7-hour show?
It might have been at the idea of a 7-hour show. It was, she said.
That's awesome.
So I got waffled with a piece of bread.
On that note, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you next week. Happy wrestling.